the Enthusiastic Woman podcast, broadcasting normally from the Enthusiastic Woman worldwide headquarters, where every day we birth success. I'm Miss Shannon here with my good friend Judy Carter and Samantha Masaya. Hello, ladies. I am very excited that you are here again to birth success with us. Normally we are, of course, broadcasting from the Enthusiastic Women Worldwide headquarters, but we are out and about again this episode at the Mom Boss 5K, an event that's brought to you by Covey. They were kind enough to come here. So it actually was a women's wellness event. So we just had a number of runners come back from running a 5K. So if you hear some enthusiastic ladies in the background, they were going around, hanging out with some of the other vendors that are here. And since we hit the road, we thought this would be a great time to be joined by a special guest. So along with Judy and Samantha and myself, we have award-winning journalist and the author of the best-selling book, Pockets of Joy. Please welcome our enthusiastic friend, Roxane Battle. Hello.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Great to be here with all you guys. You know, the fastest time for the Mom Boss 5K, they came out and they ran in the rain today.
Yeah.
22:17.
Wow, well done.
Isn't a 5K 3 miles?
3.2.
That's really fast.
Yeah.
Well, we're impressed. We've considered running, Roxane. We, as a show, talked about it.
Yes, we talked about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think we considered it.
Doing are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So none of us ended up. We decided that we would just do what we do best, which instead of running, just talk more and do our podcast here.
And you got to hand it to them coming out running in the rain, so it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So, Roxane, I'm going to ask a favor. So why don't you take that mic out of the stand for me, right? Tell everybody about Pockets of Joy, your best-selling book that's out there.
Pockets of Joy is it's part self-help, part memoir, and it's my personal story when I was on Care 11 The News, and I had a personal as well as a professional pivot.
Yes.
And I talk about how to find joy, particularly during the difficult times in life. I define pockets of joy as those fleeting moments when you feel like everything is going to be okay.
Perfect.
So I self-published the book in 2015. A national publisher got a hold of it, took it from a 100-page paperback to a 200-page hardcover, distributed it nationwide, and to this day, Pockets of Joy dances in and out of the top 100 bestseller list on Amazon in multiple categories.
Congratulations.
That's really great.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you taking time away from your busy schedule here at the Mom Boss 5K, because you're also going to be doing a lot of the on-stage announcing later.
Yes, I'm actually announcing the winners, and I had the great pleasure of sending the runners off. And, of course, I have my Pockets of Joy books and journal and note cards here today as well.
So we appreciate it. So remind everybody, so it's pocketsofjoy.com is the easiest way to find you?
You can get there by that, or just RoxaneBattle.com as well.
Perfect.
And Roxane is with a singular N. RoxaneBattle.com or PocketsOfJoy.com.
See, ladies, see how classy she is. The fact that she's like with a singular N, and we're all like, one N, please. One. You're much fancier than us.
It's on Amazon too, right? Like you
gosh,
said.
yes. It's
yeah,
on
that's
Amazon,
great.
Barnes & Noble. It was in Target at one point.
Yeah.
Walmart. Yeah.
And we have 3 wolves on our
Yes.
sweatshirts.
So we were discussing this off air, is that we as Team Wolfpack is what we are now moniker that we are using for our Enthusiastic Woman cast. Because let's tell everybody again what what hoodies we are wearing, Judy.
3 Wolf Moon.
Yeah.
She says it with such authority.
I hope you post that on your website. The pictures of these sweatshirts. I mean, it's so bad it's funny, actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the story of our lives, Roxane.
Mission accomplished.
That's the mission. Yeah, mission accomplished.
Well,
So
Roxane,
glad that was semi-successful.
Roxane, we appreciate you joining us. So what we do here on the Enthusiastic Women podcast is every episode we usually have 3 segments. So we have our first segment, which is called Product Displacement. And product displacement is where we talk about a product out there and its particular marketing strategy. And then we kind of go back and forth on whether we think that their efforts are a hit or a miss. And today we are talking about a product out there, the Vampire Facial. So we are going to talk about that. We are going to bring you up to speed on that, Roxane. Then we move into our second segment, which is called Did You See This? Did you see this? Today we are talking about a new inclusivity in advertising tool and resource that's out there. So we have some data on that, courtesy of our analytics maven, Samantha. She's going to bring us up to that And then finally today, our final segment is one that we call "Does This Make Me Old?" And what we're going to talk
In
about.
most cases, it
Yes.
does.
Yes, usually the answer is
You
yes.
know, I'm just going to preface all that by saying I am the only person. I mean, I officially live under a rock. Okay, so you're going to have to bring me up to speed.
Don't worry, we are
all
very
right.
good at doing
We're
that.
here.
So in Does This Make Me Old? Today, we are going to talk about court TV. It's a coming back, so I have a story on that.
it
So
is.
are we ready to move on and do some enthusiastic topics, lady?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Here we go.
It's about to go down. It's about to go down. Are you ready?
All right, product displacement today. We were talking about the vampire facial, but product displacement is brought to you by Furry Nails, available at Enthusiastic Woman online. Furry Nails. Vampire facials, though. Judy, I believe you have the story on this about how vampire facials are getting bloody.
I sure do. So this story is about these vampire facials, which is when clients apparently pay for this. You go to a spa and you get yourself injected with a needle into your face with your own blood. And if that's not scary enough on its own, the thought of that, 2 clients contracted HIV in New Mexico from the same spa, the same strain of HIV they contracted.
Now, was it the story is you're supposed to use a sterilized needle. They inject you with your own blood, so there shouldn't be an opportunity for contamination is what it's supposed to be, right, Judy?
Well, obviously that's the intent, but in this case, the belief is that they weren't handling their needles properly at this. So this facial became very popular when Kim Kardashian posted a picture of herself with this like spattering of blood all over her face. It was like a face selfie. And she said, "Tonight on Courtney and Kim Take Miami," which must have been a show they had at this time.
Yes.
And it was hashtag vampire facial. So she posted this, and then all of a sudden it became like people wanting to get vampire facials. So you can only suspect that people who weren't great at knowing how to do any of this decided to provide this service because
Right.
demand came for it. It wasn't like a service that developed organically or people knew how to do. It more was a thing that customers said, "Kim Kardashian gets vampire facials. Can you do that for me here?" And they probably said, yeah, and then didn't do it right. And now,
Of course they didn't do it
people are
right,
sick.
because I don't feel like, if you go to a certified anesthetician and you see, like, even if you look at an online university for that type of service, you normally don't see vampire facials listed.
No.
I feel like that's not on the normal
right.
list of studies.
I have 2 thoughts on that. One, how different is that when they used to take leeches?
Yes.
Right. They would take leeches to
Well, they
sort of suck your blood
They
out.
still do that in
I
some
think that's all
countries.
things are new again type
Right.
thing, Roxane.
Yeah.
And then the second thought I have, I think we have to be really careful with the whole celebrity worship culture.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Just because somebody is like totally famous doesn't mean they are like totally sane.
Yep. There's
Fair enough.
a lot of controversy that's arising around influencers
Yes.
who
Yes.
give medical advice.
Right.
And particularly in the world of like weight loss and things like that. And there's new lawsuits, but there's also research studies being done about the amount of advice they're getting, the reach they have, the audience they can reach, and the damage that the bad advice, the health damage that the bad advice gives. So influencers can cause potentially a public health crisis.
Right.
Exactly, since, and also since so many of these influencers are at the forefront of things, but then also discuss it as they, even though they are the guinea pig, they don't present it that way.
Right.
Because they're doing something that they have been sponsored to do. And so they don't have that transparency that you go, well, no.
Yep.
There's might be other things, and there should be an asterisk and other things that's involved with this particular process. All we know is, well, she looked cute because she threw 7 filters on her Instagram page.
Well, I'm actually, who knows if she got sponsored. Maybe she did get sponsored to do it, because if it was on the show, they probably showed the spa that
Exactly.
she went to and all that.
Yeah.
And then it's really interesting, because if you look at, since this story broke that the HIV was, 2 people who got it, got HIV, first of all, New Mexico state is giving out free HIV testing to anybody who got this service anywhere. Second of all, I'm surprised that Kim hasn't taken this picture down, because there's all these comments, like people are just leaving the link to the story about people getting HIV from a vampire facial.
That's why she hasn't taken it down, because she's popular.
Fair enough.
Right.
Maybe she wants people to, and people are like, just because Kim Kardashian did this doesn't mean you need to do this. New Mexico HIV incident. I mean, all the comments are about HIV, and just because Kim did this, don't do this. Look at this story. I mean, it's just comment after comment in the past 2 weeks on this photo.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. I mean, all publicity is good publicity. And
right.
people are talking about
you're right.
Yep.
Especially if you're someone who is an influencer and famous for being famous.
Right, and they are not heavily regulated. So, which when it comes to something like maybe eyeshadow or food or something, not as much potential for damage.
Right.
But if it is something in the health and wellness realm, there is a whole lot of potential for damage, and there just aren't the regulations as of yet to control that.
This is life-threatening.
Right.
Absolutely it is.
Potentially life-threatening beauty service.
The other thing that I appreciate about this conversation starter, we'll call it, is that whenever we discuss the Kardashians on this show and on other shows, we do often try to drill down to, why are we striving for this particular viewpoint of beauty? And we talk about that a lot, where we go, wait a minute, this influencer culture, if you're in the beauty market, is so narrow and specific that
the definition of beauty.
Right, and we do spend a lot of time when we're discussing the Kardashians and such about, why do you have to look like that, and why are you not enough? And I feel like there's some other influencers where we pivot to the opposite, where they're trying to be inclusive of all different types of body styles, ages, all these things, everything, but not so much when we follow a Kardashian.
Right. Well, see, this is what not a shameless plug for Pockets of Joy, but as a shameless plug for Pockets of Joy.
That's why you're here. Go ahead.
Go, girl.
Yeah. That's what I talk about, how happiness is an inside job.
Right.
And so, you have the it girls of the season, you have the Kim Kardashians, you have the Paris Hiltons, you have the Britney Spears, you have all these people influencing culture and fashion and telling people that happiness can be found from the outside in, when I believe the reverse is true, that happiness begins from the inside out.
Absolutely.
Well, we agree with you, and we appreciate you being part of our product displacement segment. Today, product displacement is brought to you by Verbena Wackenfield.
Are you tired of having cold fingertips? What woman isn't? I have the perfect solution. Furry Nails by Enthusiastic Woman Online. Modeled after the indigenous Australian wallaroo, which is known for the thick, cold-resistant fur on its toes. Furry nails adhere to your fingernails and protect them from chilly situations. It's like having a full head of hair on every finger. Order today, and you'll also get a complimentary set of our new Latte Dark Furry Nails pre-coated with pumpkin spice for those nervous, enthusiastic women who bite their nails. Personally endorsed by my daughter, Shadowcat.
Brought to you by Enthusiastic Women Online, we birth success. It's always so nice when our CEO stops by the studio. We appreciate that. All right, ladies, as we move on to our next segment, it's now time for Did You See This? Did You See This? Now, we have some information on a new inclusivity tool for advertising, right, Samantha?
Yes. So we've talked on a number of episodes about how racism and sexism and homophobia just keeps cropping up in advertising, especially which is always bad, but it is in ways that are so blatant that we have continually asked ourselves, how
did you miss this? Yes.
How did they miss this? And I think our most recent conclusion was just that the world is just as awful as it always has been in terms of racism, sexism, and homophobia. So it's maybe there's just a bigger platform for it. So there's been a push in recent years in the advertising industry to change the makeup of some of the creative teams, right? Get more people of color at the table, get more women in the room to create the advertising. And a firm in New York recently tried to, they're working with their client was a product that served female entrepreneurs. So they wanted their creative team to be, working on the campaign, to be entirely female. And they immediately ran into problems finding people, finding female producers, female filmmakers, female